Fallout continues in the January 6th Capitol Hill protest cases, and now the DOJ, in conjunction with the FBI, just arrested an entire family. That's right, they charged 5 members of the same family for allegedly joining the Capitol riot. They're part of the Munn family. We're going to poke around and see what's going on with this case. They're from Texas. They're all facing charges. Written by Alexander Mallon here from ABC News. Says that 5 people of the same Texas family were arrested on Tuesday, charged for January 6th stuff. Let's see who they are. We've got Kristi Munn, Tom Munn, Don Munn, Josh Munn, and Kayli Munn. Sounds like a nice family, described by prosecutors as a nuclear family from Borger, Texas. They're now facing 4 federal charges over January 6th. We're going to look at this 34-page affidavit that describes the arrest details, and it's really going to show us how the investigation unfolded. You'll notice that they actually had a underage, unidentified minor child with them, but they're not going to charge that kid, which is nice of them. That's good. So a little bit of prosecutorial discretion there. Not going to charge them. But everybody else that you can see here, all charged. This is coming from court documents. Members of the Munn family out of Borger, Texas, as seen out of this photograph. This document was released, right? So they're out there, and we're going to go through the affidavit. We're going to see really what's happening here. Let's get a little bit more background from ABC. FBI officials say that they first received a tip that Kristi Munn participated in the riot just 3 days after from a tipster who captured screenshots from her Facebook and Snapchat accounts. They then combed through public Facebook posts to track their journey from Texas to D.C. as they amplified calls for a march on Congress. Said, "We made it to our hotel just outside D.C. 1,600 miles in 24 hours. After the riot, the investigators found posts from the family where they discussed joining the insurrection." Tom Munn, dad, wrote, "The only damage to the Capitol building was several windows and sets of doors. Nothing inside was damaged. I can tell you patriots never made it to the chamber. There was no violence in the Capitol building. The crowd was not out of control. They were angry." He posted that. So we've covered a lot of these cases, right? I have never endorsed criminality. I've never sort of advocated that what happened that day was right. But I've also been somebody who has said that the law should be just in its application. And what we're seeing here, in my opinion, has never been crimes of the century. There were isolated cases that were things that were very problematic, but not problematic to the extent that they justify keeping people in segregated isolation for 6 months with continuances being granted liberally to the prosecutors who can't, for some reason, prosecute something like 540 cases that are essentially disorderly conduct and trespass cases. They can't figure it out. So these people are just rotting away in custody. And are they going to get the same privileges or the same benefits that any other citizens would have gotten ordinarily, or that would have been provided to other ideologies like Antifa or BLM? Are they getting those same benefits? Guessing not. So I've been very concerned that certain defendants in this country get a raw deal. And I've always said for a long time that everybody deserves a defense no matter what the crime was, right? Because it's about holding the line there. If the government has the evidence, they've got the evidence and they're going to convict you. But it's about holding the line. And everybody needs a solid defense and a solid fight. The society that just abandons defendants because they're so reprehensible is abandoning much more than that. They're abandoning the presumption of innocence. They're abandoning due process and equal protection. And that cannot be allowed. So we're always going to have to hold the line to make sure that any person who's charged with a crime in this country gets a fair shake and doesn't get punished, especially on the back of a political prosecution. So let's see what's going on here with the Munn family. Right now, we've got a couple charges. We're going to focus on mom and dad. Kristi, mom, is here, number 1. Couple different counts, 4 counts. Violent entry, disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, right? Disorderly conduct in a Capitol building. Temporary residence of the president, entering, remaining in a restricted building or grounds. And so we've got 2 similar charges, essentially for trespass, 2 similar charges for disorderly conduct. Same dang thing for husband over here, Thomas Munn. Same charges, right? 2 here for trespass, 2 here for violent entry. So we're going to talk about them. We can see that they're calling the case USA versus the Munn et al. And we have the 5 family members all listed here. Date of births have been blacked out. U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. This is the criminal complaint. On or about January 6 in D.C., these 4 different charges. See the attached statement. Special Agent David Boyillard over here from the FBI. And this is being signed off on by U.S. Judge Zia Andrea M. Farqui, which we've seen that name a lot here. The full affidavit is 35 pages long. Not going to go through the entirety of it, but we can sort of skim through it here relatively quickly. A lot of this we've already read all about, okay? And it's not even that interesting. So it is 35 pages, but there are a ton of pictures, so we'll get through this quickly. Now, we have already spent a lot of time talking about a lot of this stuff. We've seen other FBI agents give us this same breakdown. I'm a special agent with the FBI. Here's my background, domestic terrorism. U.S. Capitol secured a lot. There was a joint session of Congress on January 6th. Both proceedings in both houses. There were barricades. At the time of the certification proceedings, people were breaking into the building shortly around 2:20 p.m. Vice President of the United States, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got all of that. That's the framework for what happened. We've read many of these affidavits here on the channel. They all resemble that same thing, right? Counting the votes, Trump was speaking, got all that. What happened with this family, though? On January 9th, the FBI received information from a tipster that Kristi Munn, mom, entered the Capitol. During a follow-up interview, they reported that other members of her family also were there. They took screenshots from Facebook, they took screenshots from Snapchat, and they found a couple different Facebook accounts. Kristi Munn over here. Tipster is a relative of Kristi Munn's fiance. Oh, I wonder if that wedding's going to carry on. Kristi Munn, the fiance of mom, I think that's mom, of Kristi, ratted them out. The tipster has personally met Kristi Munn and spent time with her during the 2020 holiday season, which was less than a month before. The tipster also provided her telephone number and claimed she lived with her fiance, both of which I verified to be true. Oh, that's not a good wedding, is it? Not good. Not sure if that's going to carry on. One of the Facebook screenshots provided by the tipster, ex-fiance, was a post of a photograph of Kristi Munn and 5 individuals who were, quote, tagged in the post. So they tagged everybody else in the family on the Facebook post. According to the post, when you tag someone, you can link to their profile. Got that. We see one of these posts here. The other Facebook screenshot provided by the tipster, ex-fiance, is a photograph of Kristi Munn taken outside where other protesters were in the background. We got a photograph, January 6th, or here's a picture, Washington, D.C., here we come. So here's another one, figure 2, another screenshot, so another Snapchat, right? So their tipster provided 6 Snapchats from her account, also posted on January 6th, at or about, near the Capitol. Here's Kristi Marie Munn, also on Snapchat. Here are a couple more images. So Kristi Marie, see the account here, and here, just sort of posting stories right on social media from everything that's going on there. We have some other Snapchat screenshots. So this guy went in and recorded, just took shots of everything. Publicly available Facebook information as well. So I attempted to find and review the Facebook account. During at that time, we found another one, multiple accounts belonging to the rest of the family. We have other posts from before January 6th. So Tom Munn on December 28, 2020 posted, POTUS has requested your attendance in Washington. Right here, here's the post. Number 1, vote, and number 2, January 6th in 2021. So that would have been after the election. So I'm not sure what number 1, vote, means, but you can see that he posted that. The time has come, he says. Here's another one. The time has come. March on Congress, January 6th, 7 a.m., U.S. Capitol, which is very interesting. I mean, the guy's actually very public about it. There's people all over the place. March on Congress, apparently posting on the internet. And our FBI and Capitol Hill Police and National Guard and all of the other 19 intelligence agencies in this country couldn't figure it out, including the Sergeant at Arms for both the chambers. Interesting. So he posted this. We made it to our hotel just outside D.C. So not a surprise, right? A lot of people are coming. Post from January 6th. He posted a photograph of himself with 5 people, his family, driving on over there. Made it back to our hotel an hour ago. Have a lot of pictures and videos to follow. See this post here, right? That's the image that we've got. This is coming directly from the affidavit. In a post from January 6th, they say these women stormed our Capitol and demanded our house and country back. They did not break, burn, threaten, swear, push, touch, or hurt another American there today, but they damn made sure their voice was heard. Screenshot of the post, right? January 6th. So they were there. They weren't doing anything violent, is what they're saying. We did not push, touch, burn, threaten, or anybody, is what she posted. We also see this one. The biggest and best female empowerment I've ever seen before in my life. These are women in history. 50 years from not I want to read about, not just words on a screen. These women stormed our Capitol. They demanded our house and our country back. They did not break, burn, threaten, swear, push, touch, or hurt another American. So a lesson to every young woman out there, if you really want to be free, speak your mind. You want to be free, do whatever you set your mind to. This is how you do it. This is exactly what women back in 1848 started marching for. This is what they would be proud to see women doing with all the rights and freedoms 170 years later. If more women like these stand up and fight, then maybe we'll have a future, is essentially what she's saying there, right? So, this is a person who is standing for, political ideology. You can see from the post, does not intend to be violent, and said that there was no violence. On January 25th, I attempted to interview Kristi Munn at her residence. She was not home. Spoke with her by phone. She admitted going to the Capitol to see President Trump speak and express her First Amendment rights to object to the Electoral College results, but denied going inside the Capitol or participating in any violence, vandalism, or other criminal activity, which is going to be shown to be probably not true, right? She hasn't been convicted of anything yet, but they've got some pretty good evidence. Pretty good point to remind you about the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with law enforcement. There's only one rule. There are 2 questions that they can ask you. What are you doing right here, right now, is question number 2. The first question is, who are you? You have to identify yourself. Second question is, what are you doing right here, right now? Kristi Munn was on the phone with this guy. Not right here, not right now. Should not have answered those questions. That is the second part of the 1, 2, 3 rule. What she should have said there is part 3.1. I don't answer those questions. The officer is allowed to ask 2 questions. Any law enforcement, 2 questions. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule. Don't buy the course. Here it is. There's one rule. Don't pick any other rule. Don't try to outsmart the rule. Part 2. 2 questions the police can ask you. Number 1, who are you? Got to identify yourself. Number 2, what are you doing right here, right now? If they ask one of those 2 questions, you got to answer that. If they don't, don't answer the question. You've got 3 responses that you can use. Number 1 is respectfully, officer, respectfully, FBI agent, respectfully, sir. I don't answer those questions. Okay. Those questions. So he says, did you go in the Capitol that day on the phone? I don't answer those questions. That's not right here, right now. That's not who am I, right? That is a no-brainer. He comes to her house and says, can I come in and talk to you? No, not without a warrant. That's 3.2. No access to your house. No, not without a warrant. Can I search your car? No, not without a warrant. Can I search your trunk? No, not without a warrant. Can I search your backpack? No, not without a warrant. Right? Doesn't matter what the answer is. Doesn't matter if they lawfully can search you. You still say that because you don't want to consent to the search. Okay, that's 3.2. 3.3, the last one, I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer. You can stomp your feet and scream about that if you want. I want a lawyer. Anytime that they're going to be, trying to interrogate you, which is what this guy was trying to do, I want a lawyer. It's the 1, 2, 3 rule. And this is not legal advice. So don't take this. How can this be legal advice? I'm not giving you advice about a case or anything like that. This is a general rule for dealing with law enforcement. This person did not comply with that rule, unfortunately. Identification of Kristi, Tom, Don, Josh, and Kayli Munn inside the Capitol building. So how did they identify this person? I've located multiple videos which I identified some or all of the members, Kristi Munn, and so on. We obtained this by reviewing their driver's license photographs, so they actually just go and subpoena those things from the MVD, pull those, and then they can match the faces. Then they pull all the videos off of Facebook, all the photos. Kayli Munn was wearing a camouflage jacket with a 45 patch. One example of a video I located is security footage from the Senate wing door on January 6th. In the video, I identified everybody in there, 2:25 p.m. and so on. Here are the different photographs. So they're telling us right now, marked in red, so they pull a photo, and they sort of start. So here's what they're trying to do, okay? They have a tip. They go from the tip. They find the photographs on social media. They say, boom, we got somebody who's there. Let's take a look at their outfits. Let's take a look at their driver's licenses. Now we're going to match the outfits to all of the other photos and video footage of the people actually inside the Capitol. We know that they posted stuff outside the Capitol on Snapchat. Let's see if we can see what they look like and find them inside the building. It's like, where's Waldo? And it's not that complicated, but, 6-year-olds can find Waldo, but our FBI and our entire U.S. Attorney's Office, including the entire Department of Justice, plus the Capitol Hill Police, plus everybody else, they're having a really hard time finding Waldo. And so they need extra time while while defendants just sit in custody and rot away. Not okay, but here you go. So the FBI found Waldo right over here. There's one. Oh, here's another one. That's good. Nice job, everybody. Here's another one, right? So they're just matching outfits. Another video contains security footage from the area located in between the crypt of the Capitol, and they're just walking the judge through exactly what they've got, right? Kind of boring and bland. I took screenshots. They have to flesh it out frame by frame. Figure 21 depicts Tom Munn. Figure 22 depicts Don Munn, right? And so they're just going through and explaining to the court what's going on. So now we've got all the Munns, right? There's the whole family that has just been sort of picked up, walking through the Capitol building. We have Kristi Munn over here. She's got the Trump flag on and the cap. She's not even wearing a mask at that point. We also have over here Tom Munn marked in red. Same thing, Don Munn marked in red, right? So masks have come down now, and they're all sort of just walking through the Capitol building. Here's Josh. Here is Kayli. So I think the younger part of the family. More screenshots here, actually inside the Capitol building. Here's Tom. Here's Don. Other places. So what they're doing is they're just sort of showing you. They're walking around the Capitol, and these photographs. If you look at these, they look very low res to me, and they look very sort of washed out and faded, which means that these are sort of terrible security cameras. Look at this. Somebody put a Trump hat over here on whatever that figure is. But we have very grainy photographs, and they're very washed out. Now I'm going to guess that a lot of this is sort of a result of the copying. Right. This is a formal typed document that is printed on paper, and then it looks like it was scanned again here. So those photographs are probably much higher resolution. You're probably going to be able to blow those up. This is in the Capitol building. I'm going to guess that this is just, kind of garbage footage. But they'll probably be able to hyper zoom in on that face because, as you can see, right, half the face is covered. So they're going to have to, identification is going to be a part of what the government has to prove here. But I don't think that that's going to be much of a problem. So we've got a screenshot, again, identifying all them. It looks like they're sort of walking on out. Here are a couple very close faces, very clearly. You can see this person's face and this person's face over here. Over here, another screenshot, right? Another person in here. And they're just walking around, right? There's no pictures of them in any of these things, smashing anything or assaulting anybody. They're just walking around the Capitol. Here's another one. Here's another one. Let's see. Here they are. Somebody's streaming somewhere, right? We've got America First chant and all this stuff going on. I don't know what platform this is on. Maybe on DLive. I think that's DLive. So it's a screenshot. Now identifying her, right? So they're still just walking around, shouldn't be in there. I get it. Should not have walked in the Capitol building. Got it. I got it. But they're just walking around, right? Let's see what's happening here. I interviewed 3 individuals. Okay, so here they are, screenshot marked in red. So they're over here, around a Capitol, in the Capitol building in some room somewhere, right? Trespassing. Yes, illegal. Yes, criminal activity. Yes, all of it. Got it. And they should face consequences. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but not the consequences that we're seeing for others in their situations. Okay, so now we're going to just run through some other stuff here. Third-party identification. I interviewed 3 individuals who are familiar with the Munn family. So now what they've got is they're trying to go find other witnesses who can support a sort of support the claims. So they're going to go find other people. We have first interviewee is an employer at Borger, Texas, taught the Munn children, says, yep, I can identify them. Another second interviewee, employee at a high school, says, yep, I can identify them. Third interviewee, another employee says, yep, I can also identify them, right? So I've got experience with the Munns. I know who they are, and I can help you with whatever you need. We got information regarding her account. So they go through her account now. In a Facebook conversation with Jared, Kristi Munn wrote, we were in the Capitol. So they actually went and accessed her account. They're looking at her DMs now. Just a bit of info for the DL. Keep that bit of info on the DL for right now. Don't tell anyone, right? Don't tell anyone. How did anyone get past the front doors with how secure it is? Makes me wonder if they was let in. My own thoughts. There was no security. There was no National Guard. I can promise you no one destroyed anything walking through the Capitol, right? So it's like the information that incriminates them also sort of is like, well, they just let us in. We just walked right in. This is her private message in the same message that she admits that she was in the Capitol and says, keep that on the DL. So you kind of, if you're going to take that statement as reliable, if you're going to take the statement that she was in the Capitol as reliable, well, you might want to take the other statements as reliable, saying there was no security. There was no National Guard. I can promise you no one destroyed anything. So how is that a thing? How did that even happen? No security, no National Guard. Okay. On January 7th, she posted the following thing. I was just thinking tear gas tastes like freedom. Stop the steal. Trump is my president. Facebook user commented, do you know from this experience, Kristi Munn replied, now, I do now, right? So she's acknowledging that she got tear gassed. Did y'all get gassed? She said they gassed us all. We never fought back. We pushed forward and asked them to join us. So proud of my Patriots, right? Unidentified user of minor child 2's face. Okay, so let's continue on. Here's a screenshot from another Facebook video. The FBI agent thinks that she is streaming now on DLive, a live stream, and a screenshot from Kristi Munn is shown here also below. Another DLive video from inside the Capitol, right? A minor child was there as well. Information comes from Tom Munn's Facebook account. He posted another thing, hey, we've been over to D.C., They go through Don Munn's Facebook account. They go through Josh Munn's Facebook account and Kayli's. They get location information from the cell phones. They get a search warrant that is served on AT&T. They actually go and pull their cell phones now, and they can identify the different numbers, where those numbers were located. They utilized a cell site consistent with providing service to the area that is included in the interior of the Capitol building. So they get warrants. Hey, we have enough information about this person. Judge said that we can get access to the cell phone data. AT&T, what do you got? Okay, they pull the cell phone data. They just ping it right inside the building. Oh, yeah, it pinged from inside. You were streaming on DLive, so we know you were inside the building. According to records obtained through search warrants, we have another cell site that was also utilized by Josh Munn, another one that was utilized with 80871, and so on. Based on the following, we know that they were in the building. We want to charge them with crimes. Signed off here by David Lee Boylard, FBI special agent, of course, signed off on here by a judge in the D.C. court. So very, very kind of standard investigation took place, but I thought it was very instructive, right? They got an entire family as a result of the investigation, and who knows what's going to happen to them, right? They might get a good judge and a fair shake. They might get a terrible judge, and they might stay in custody forever. They may be out already. I don't know. But I just wanted to share that affidavit with you. Let's see what your thoughts are on this topic over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. All right. So we've got a comment coming in, but I don't know who this is from. It says, thank you for all the information and the content. I feel like you were working for free. I finally figured out Locals. I'm glad you're here. Next time you submit a comment, though, let me know who you are so I can say hello to you. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for signing up. Very, very nice. Miss Lucky is here, says, Ronald Reagan quote, "We are only one generation away from the loss of freedom." We might be in that generation right now. It's kind of embarrassing that a lot of people my age are so okay with lacking freedom, but it is. Speech Unleashed says, "We are constantly hearing that January 6th was an insurrection. So why is none of them actually being charged with the crime of insurrection?" Because they can't prove that, right? Because it's a trespass case. It's not an actual insurrection case. These are trespass cases. We have Congressional Rep Pandas here, says, "Do you know anything about temporary congressional laws? They ain't making laws. They are extending temporary laws or making new temporary laws." I don't know much about that. No, Congressional Rep Panda. I don't really know. I'm trying to think about what you might be referencing. You know, locally, we had a lot of temporary laws. Remember, back during COVID, we had many that they would say, "Oh, this new lockdown order expires 2 weeks out," and then the governor would come out, at least here in Arizona, and extend it another 2 weeks, and then another, and then we got indefinite extensions. And at some point, they just got tired of having to draft the lockdown orders, so they just said, "Whenever we're ready, you can be free again." So we had to deal with that, but no, I'm not familiar with the other underpinnings. Chairman of the board is here, says, "You've heard of the Munsters. You've heard of the Addams family. Now something even scarier. It's the Munn family. Some families take vacations. The Munn family takes over governments. Watch out. Coming to a capital near you." That's we could probably make a movie out of that, right? That sounds pretty compelling. I like that. Thank you, Chairman of the board. That's good. So, all right, so I'm not gonna say that. All right, we're gonna continue on. Thank you, Chairman. We got Miss Lucky 21 says, "Correction to the Reagan quote: freedom is never more than one generation from extinction." Same idea, and I like it just as much. We have Sharon Quidney says, "You can only speak freely if you are BLM or Antifa. Otherwise, if you speak freely, make your voice heard, you're headed for solitary confinement in jail." I hope not. "For an indefinite period, or to hell with due process, equal protection, or speedy trial. No cruel and unusual punishment." Yeah, I agree with you, Sharon. I think that there's a lot of this that goes on, and that's why I get so passionate about these things, because it's very easy for people to just forget about a defendant. It's just, oh, they're the Capitol Hill people. You know, they're bad people. They're insurrectionists, or they're, rapists or assault. It's easy. I get it. It's really gross stuff. It's a gross side of society that is real, but it is the most important to protect those concepts because those are the first that just get forgotten about because everybody wants to throw those people out. But we can't let that happen. We're not going to. We have Kareem says, you said you can ask who you are and get your ID. Is that not only if they suspect you of committing a crime as per the Fourth Amendment? So yes, technically. So on that rule, right? This rule, I don't want to get into all the details of the rule. I have a 2.5-hour course on, and I'm not making this specifically for you, Kareem. It's a great question. Thank you for asking it. But it is a complicated thing that I really can't synthesize in 60 seconds or so. I mean, I did, and it works. But remember that this is not supposed to cover every single permutation. This is supposed to cover the majority of situations, and it's supposed to save you from making mistakes that make their investigation easier. So there are all sorts of permutations of this, right? You could say the rules are different in a school, the rules are different at the border, the rules are different at the airport, the rules are different when you're coming through customs. I get it all. But I can't synthesize all of that into a 1, 2, 3 rule. I want to give you some guidelines that are going to make you successful, and probably, I don't know, I don't have any data to support this, but I would say 98% of cases, because most police stops are not at airports or customs patrol stations or schools. It's for most other areas like the side of the road, where if you're driving in a car, yeah, they can ask you for who you are, right? Because you have a license to be on the road. So that's why that rule's in there. Yes, if you're you can make arguments that based on the side of the road, if you're walking down the street, they come up to you, right? They have to have reasonable suspicion and stuff. They just can't come up to you and just demand your ID for no reason. They got to articulate something. And so all of that exists, but what I'm trying to do is cover, the vast majority of cases. So if technically, yes, if you want, you can sort of, get into it on the side of the road there, but I'm not sure that, but you understand my point. When I go through the course, which is available at gumroad.com/RobertGruler, I talk about this in terms of high percentage moves, right? There are some moves that are going to be successful for you a high percent of the time. That's what the 1, 2, 3 rule is. All right. So a little bit of a disclaimer there. We've got Speech Unleashed said, too bad they didn't spend this much effort to identify, locate, and appropriately prosecute all of those that looted and destroyed private and public property during the BLM and Antifa riots. Yeah, you never saw the FBI out there with really anything, did you? We've got the FBI relying on disgruntled and vindictive relatives, exes, to arrest people with no criminal charges except a misdemeanor. Will they be given bail? Still don't understand how John Sullivan got bail. He was because he gave footage to CNN and those people. Got bail when he did much more than damage than other prisoners. I think that it shows how petrified the Dems are of the audits by this sad, pathetic misuse of the legal process. Makes me cry, actually. That's from Thunder 7. Yeah, I understand that emotion, man. I really do. I understand it. It really is sad, and it's sad that it's happening in the United States. We have Producer Pandas here says, FBI are creating a narrative. Why does it take so long? Because they are so organized and stuff. It's QAnon, I mean, it took them like one day. The judge would say, so why didn't you stop them? This is all play for the gallery. I agree with that, right? It's a political hammer that they can just keep slamming down indefinitely. Nadarb says, if these people were really not violent, aka peaceful, and all they did was assemble inside a public building after being guided in by police officers, is that not exercising your right to peacefully assemble? Other people being violent is not me being violent, right? We have the right to peacefully assemble on any public property we want to. So I don't see how they can charge most of these people. So it's a good question, but you're a little bit overbroad there, Nadarb. So, public property, there are all sorts of regulations that the Supreme Court has justified, right? Just because it's public doesn't mean that you can just walk into a military base or to Area 51 or to the White House or to the Congressional building. So there's all sorts of, we sort of refer to them as time, place, and manner restrictions when we talk about free speech. But the government has a right to exclude people so that they can perform their function. And so those laws are on the books, certainly. And what they did was not, peaceful assembly in a publicly acceptable place that might be covered under free speech, like the, free exercise and, the right to peaceably assemble still can be limited by time, place, and manner. And of course, the Capitol building would be one of those things. We've got John Delar says, I can't even stand to listen to this. I have to turn down the volume. It makes me sick to my stomach. The government is going to get away with it. Nothing will happen to the judges or the attorneys, and these people are toast. We watched this for months as Democrats rioted, attacked people, caused billions of dollars of damage. They made it clear that as long as Donald Trump was in power, they were willing to destroy the country. Nothing happened to them. People don't even talk about what they did. These people protest on the Capitol for a day and it's Armageddon. It's just so unfair and unjust what is happening to them. It just eats my soul. Sorry to hear that, John Delar. I know I know, man. I know. Tell me about it, man. I know. I get it. Want to Know says, my dad told me the jails and the prisons are 99% full of people that thought they could outsmart or outtalk the cops. Shut up, hand them your ID, insurance, registration, don't do anything, let them arrest you. No, you can't search me or my trunk. I want my mom and dad to call my lawyer. Please call my mom and dad now so they can call my lawyer. Thank you. That's from Want to Know. It's good advice. It's pretty good advice. Yep. People think that they can outsmart the police. That's why rule number 1 is don't outsmart the rule. Don't pick another rule because you're going to go, oh, well, if you make it too complicated, then you're going to have this problem where you've got people trying to finagle the rule around and go, oh yeah, rule 7.1 said this and 2.5 said that, but nope, 1, 2, 3 rule. Use the high percentage and you'll be okay. You'll be better. We got Delecto Panda, Pierre Delecto. What was that? Was Romney Delecto? All right. He says, have you seen the clip where a CP comes and asks if they need assistance? Are you okay? Do you want me to call an ambulance? Because one of the trespasser was bleeding. That clip is scrubbed from the internet. No, I did not see that because it's probably scrubbed from the internet, like you said. All right, we've got somebody says, wow, how can anyone believe their DMs are private at this time? Yeah, you're right. It's a good thing. They are not private. They can just gobble them up. Want to Know says, cops are smarter than you or anyone else. That's their job. They're very good at it. They're allowed to lie to you. They study and take classes. They are very tricky. Don't ever trust them. Says, that's from Want to Know. I don't think all cops are bad. I don't think that. Be Brave says, the hilarious thing about the Capitol rioters is the legit people who were not hiding behind masks and who were not armed. FBI was masked up, though. Well, COVID, they were COVID restrictions, of course. So, yeah, that was the most interesting thing about the whole thing was the lack of arms. There was one shooting from a police officer. That's it. If they really wanted to seize control of the country, and this was a military insurrection and a coup orchestrated by America's, most powerful militias of white supremacists, you think they would have done a better job than that? Not that I'm endorsing that, right? I don't want any of that. Oh gosh. But you would imagine that it would be this massive threat that would last longer than 4 hours. And it didn't, because it wasn't an insurrection. Gosh. Robute says the Munn family are bloody stupid. Why are they posting protests on social media when it's public? Many people are live streaming. Yeah, it's not a bright thing to do, but it's not a smart thing to do. But a lot of people, do things like that, and we still, they still deserve a defense, and they still deserve, due process, and not to be thrown away. Robute says, what is infuriating about the protester, they want to use their First and Second Amendment rights, yet they don't want to use the 5th and the 14th. Good to see you, Robute. Let's see. We got a couple more. Got to pick up the pace. Sarah S. says, oh, nice comment here. Sarah says, in psychology, it's widely known that individuals tend to conform based on the action of others. It's very rare to find individuals that will go against the group. Although what these people did was wrong, there was a lack of violence and destruction compared to previous months of rioting and looting. At what point will common sense kick in and fines be issued instead of more prison overcrowding? That's from Sarah S. It's a great comment. I think you're right. I think that a lot of the, we've had some comments here today about people expressing emotional pain as a result of what they're seeing, right? Because they see it from a common sense perspective. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, it's trespass. Yes, it was not America's best day. We got all that. But these are people. These are human beings. They make mistakes. We've all made mistakes. We've all been a part of something that we kind of got like roped into, right? We go, oh my gosh, I got FOMO, fear of missing out, or I need to go sign this deal, or you have a used car person who pressures you into doing something, right? We all fall prey to the pushes and pulls of being human. It happens to all of us, and it's very easy to get riled. They might have been there with the best of intentions to go there and peacefully protest, and they had a bad day. That we all have bad days, and that doesn't mean that they should escape consequence. but it doesn't mean that they should be treated and prosecuted like criminal political prisoners, like Jacob Chansley has, like Dominic Pezzolo has, like many of the others that we've talked about here all have been. It's not okay, and it drives me bananas. So, all right, we've got Three Girlies says, so you think that the parent of a minor child will be charged with child endangerment? Yeah, they could. They have not been, but they could easily. If the Munn family can be charged with crimes they were charged with, only stands to reason they will be throwing the book at anyone they could. Yeah, easily could have a child endangerment charge, although I think that would be more of like a state claim, right? That wouldn't really be prosecuted under federal law. So they're just sticking with the January 6th stuff. Let's see who this is. Oh, Hunter Biden's here. Hunter Biden came in. He said they had a party at the Capitol on January 6th and I was not invited. Yeah, sorry, Hunter. Your dad was in a bunker somewhere. Maybe you should have hung out with him. Three Girlies is here, says, do you think that Rep. Joyce Beatty from Ohio and all the other protesters she let into the building will be treated the same way the Munn family or any January 6th protesters were? That's from Three Girlies. No, I don't think so. Of course not, because she's on the right side. Her side won. So that's why they get to sort of do whatever they want to. Kenny 1B says, do you like to meet with your viewers if they happen to be visiting the Phoenix area? So I've never been asked, but I'd be open to something like that. Yeah, I'd be open to something like that. I don't even know how that would work. That's the first actual request that I've ever had about that, Kenny 1B. But you sound like a nice fella. So maybe we can work that out. Maybe we can set up something. We have an office here with a giant conference room, and maybe we could put together something, maybe a little talk or something. I like it. Let me think about it there, Kenny 1B. And you can always send me an email at robert@rrlawaz.com. That's available for anybody. I'll try to answer those if I can. But send me an email if you'd like. All right. Next up, we've got See the Veil says, is it true that judges are supposed to visit the prisons from time to time to see how the prisoners are being treated? I've never heard of that. Typically, those issues are brought up by attorneys, right? You kind of don't want a judge to go out and do independent investigations into things. They're sort of supposed to be neutral arbiters. And if a defense attorney has an issue with it, they bring it up. If a prosecutor has a problem with it, they bring it up. And so you sort of allow both sides to mediate that stuff, and the judge will resolve the problems. Now, the judge can, of course, on their own, order the prison or the jail or the healthcare provider or something to produce a result, or to do something to come back into compliance. We actually talked about a case like that was happening here in Arizona, where our medical care provider that was facilitating all of the prisons here, well, it's just terrible. People are dropping dead all over the place. And the judge started to, bring the hammer down on that provider. So they can do that, but typically, they're not doing that just sort of just to go make checks. Someone told me this years ago under the premise that judges are to get an idea of what they're sentencing people to. If this is true, would it be reasonable to ask a judge who has people from the Capitol in solitary confinement how they're living? Are the family and the Munn in solitary confinement as well? So not that I've seen yet. Maybe solitary confinement can be given to Hunter Biden's laptop copies and Hunter Biden's crock art, or Hunter Biden's case, after they have 23 hours with nothing to do. Yeah, that's a good question. So I've never seen judges sort of, go and just make the rounds because they're curious, but it wouldn't surprise me if some people, if some judges did that or took a little bit more active role in that. Let's see. Not Temporary Pandas here says suspending habeas corpus is a temporary law anti-terror. So you put this in quotes. I don't know if you mean habeas corpus or habeas corpus, but printing money is a temporary law. The use of temporary laws is pervasive as it gets. It's abuse at the highest level. Okay, I see. So a suspension of habeas corpus is a temporary law. Printing of money is sort of temporary actions, right? Because you sort of dump this big surplus of money into the monetary supply, and then that gets absorbed. And so you've got these sort of temporary impacts from temporary law. Okay, I see what you're saying there. We have Thankful Panda says, thank you, Rob. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Panda. Appreciate you being here. We have Robute says, the FBI is so incompetent where one of the complaints has a Photoshop picture of a naked black man on the portrait of a Capitol building. Can you get the case thrown out because of this? What? So somebody photoshopped a picture of a naked black man on the portrait of a Capitol building, and it's in a complaint. Wow. So you're not going to get a complaint thrown out or a case thrown out on that basis alone. But certainly, if you're going to be in court, you're going to say, where did this evidence come from? Where'd your picture come from? I have an issue with the credibility, the integrity of your evidence, given the fact that there's a person from your images that's on the Capitol building naked up there. Is there any other evidence to corroborate that? I don't think so. So then you would say that everything else in the affidavit is terrible and it all is bad evidence because it's been poisoned, right? If one thing is bad, well, the rest of it's probably bad. So you could make arguments in that basis, but but it's not going to get it thrown out. We got Locksmith Pandas here, says the Capitol door was locked, mate. But I'm sure you know that incidentally because you were not there. Neither was I. I was broadcasting live right here from Scottsdale, Arizona. All right. Engineer 12 Volt says, so if people can't be charged under insurrection, then wouldn't it be defamation or slander for the news and the government to knowingly state falsehoods against these people? So, you know, I think probably not. I think that they would get away with that because technically, I think if we went through the definitions after January 6th, we looked at insurrection and we looked at a bunch of them. Insurrection and coup and revolt and revolution and all sorts of different definitions. So I think what the government what the media could do is extend those definitions to cover the conduct that they're alleging. Right? You can make an argument at least that this was an insurrection. I think it's a terrible argument. I think it's a overly provocative, hyperbolic way to frame the whole thing, but it's politics. So they're going to continue to do that. But I don't think that they would win. I'm not a defamation lawyer. Maybe they could. That would be a better question for somebody who's a defamation lawyer. But I have a hard time thinking that it would because it's a public case. It's all public record anyways. You can make an argument for insurrection. So I'm not sure it would go anywhere. Three Girlies is here, says, it used to be that the police had to work to catch you at a crime. To connect you to a crime. Okay. Now they just have people with cell phones and pictures that are posted to social media. The term Big Brother does not come close to the lunacy of what is happening to these people for simple trespass. That's from Three Girlies. Good to see you, Three Girlies. Let's see who's next. We've got Robute is here, says, there are some tips to reduce your digital footprint for protesting, including grabbing a Pixel phone and using the Graphene OS and use all privacy settings like disabling location and Bluetooth. Also buy a prepaid SIM card, pay using cash and activate nowhere near your home and put the phone in a Faraday bag until the protest, and after remove the SIM card and place the phone in a Faraday bag. Also, the app used should be Signal and Element, not Facebook. Pretty good privacy advice there at Robute. Thank you for that. All good tips on that, right? You can really, really get aggressive with privacy. You can use all sorts of, this technology. And so there's some good tools there. Some good ideas. Thank you for that. Let's see. We got Speech Unleashed, says, I object to it being called trespassing if they were let inside by the Capitol Police. That's a good point, right? If it was open and they were waving people in, that's a whole separate ballgame. We've got Kareem, says, thank you for the information, Robin. Yes, I'm looking forward to watching your entire law interaction training on my trip down to Miami. I was asking because I've seen those First Amendment auditors get the cops called on them and refuse to identify themselves upon request from police. So, yes. So the First Amendment auditors are very interesting. I just watched, you might have sent that to me. Somebody sent it to me in Locals, and it happened here in Mesa, and it's kind of amazing how aggressive they are. And I think it's very, it's not work that I would want to personally go do because I've got, a little bit more exposure. But to the people who are holding that line and really, really pushing the police to make sure that they're not encroaching on your liberties, it's amazing work. So keep in mind that this is a little bit of a different training. Okay. This is not for that at all. This is for the everyday person. This is just, mom, dad goes to the grocery store, thinks cops are great. I trust them. I've grown up thinking they're amazing. It's just a reminder. Hey, listen, they are not on your team in certain situations. Sometimes they're there to help. Sometimes they're there to, rescue a kid out of a pool or, save you if you're getting beaten by somebody. That's all great. And we want to respect them and thank them for their heroism for, breaking into or, crashing into a chaotic situation and lending help. That's an amazing thing. But when they are not doing that, they are working for the government. They are working against your interests. They are working to cite you or arrest you or interrogate you or get information about something that's going to help them do that for somebody else. And so this is a training mostly for that. We want to cover the highest percentage moves that are out there. so that in most situations you can just follow this simple rule, because you're going to freak out when the police come to your house. When they pull you over, you're going to go, oh, and you're just going to spasm, and you're not going to know what to do. So you're just going to want to remember 1, 2, 3. What is it? Okay, I got these 2 questions. He's going to ask me a bunch of questions. I know there's only 2 that I have to respond to, and then you can make a decision right on that. And if they ask you a question that's not one of those 2, you've got 3 tools you can use to just sort of parry those back. Nope, nope, nope. And it's going to prevent you from making the mistakes that might wreck your case. It's not going to prevent the cop from doing what the cop's going to do. Cop's going to do whatever he's going to do. He's going to arrest you if he wants to arrest you. He's going to, shoot you if he wants to shoot you. In the training, I show a cop who just rams a woman's car over and flips her car over, pregnant woman in the middle of nowhere. Right? Things are going to happen that are outside of your control regardless. What we're trying to do with the training is to make sure that you don't make it worse. You don't dig a hole for yourself. And if you use the rule, we're putting some major speed bumps in front of you to prevent you from causing yourself some trouble. All right, let's see. 10-minute Panda says you should make a 10-minute limit for each segment, or unless you're going to answer all my questions all night. Yeah, so I have to figure out the timing thing on this for sure, right? We got a lot of questions. Community Panda says, have your business been negatively impacted by your streaming? No, it has not. Our business has been positively impacted by our streaming, which is why I continue to do it. People, part of the reason I continue to do it, right? Certainly if this was damaging our law firm, and it probably is to some degree, right? I'm certain that there is some positives to this and some negatives to this. No question in my mind, there are people who watch this show or hear about my stance on some of these issues, and they go, I'm not going to work with those guys. Those guys are crazy, whatever, something or other. That's fine. I know that we're losing business as a result of it. But I think what's happening is that more people are identifying that we're trying to do good here. I'm trying to be authentic here on camera. I'm trying to tell you what I believe in. I'm trying to, to practice what I preach. I communicate here. Right before I sat down here, I met with 4 people from my team about helping people, in different areas with our firm, for sort of the new client onboarding team, our legal operations team, and so on. And it's all in alignment with the same principles that I talk about here. And, some people really resonate with that. They say, look, I believe in what you believe. I need some help. Let's see if we can work together. Okay. Right. And that's great. If not, okay, there's many other law firms here. There's no question about it. So long story short, I think that the net positives outweigh any of the negatives. And so we're going to continue to do it. But it does make me nervous. I will tell you that. It does make me nervous. We have a lot of people here that, that rely on our firm being successful. And I have a lot of stresses sometimes. Sometimes I lay in bed at night and I like my eyes open, like, what did I say yesterday? Oh gosh. Well, that's the end of everything. We're going to lose everything, right? Because I'm stressed. I got a bunch of people that I care about, and I want to see them succeed, and I want to see them do well at our firm and the clients that we're helping. And so it stresses me out. When YouTube had us demonetized, I thought, oh gosh, that's it, right? We're gonna lose everything. Fortunately, we're working our way back, and I know that if I keep being true to myself and I keep being authentic and I live by my values of authenticity, integrity, service, and freedom, and I focus this channel on accountability, transparency, and justice, I think those are pretty universal. As long as I'm doing my best to subscribe to those ideals, I think things are going to work out. That's how I justify it to myself. All right, we got Want to Know says, if they can listen to Merkel's Germany, they can listen to yours. Thank you, Want to Know. We have ASL Panda says, oh my gosh, how old are you? I'm 35 years old, ASL Panda. We're gonna have to limit this. Panda, limit your Panda questions. Have a lot more time for discussions. I know Panda got the better of me today, but we're going to learn from all of that. All right, that's it for that segment. We got one more segment left. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and I, We've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing. But you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow, because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show, and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.